Two of the biggest causes of unnecessary stress come from this inner dialogue of what do people think of me, or what might people think of me if I do this or say this. So this video is going to show you how to stop caring about what other people think of you pretty fast. And I'm sure you've heard some generic advice before like, oh, just stop. Or people are just more concerned with themselves. Just let it go. And that's the equivalent of someone coming up to you when you're sad and saying, oh, I know how to not be sad. Just stop being sad, right? It is way easier said than done because we are multi-dimensional creatures. We're not just like a light switch. Going from one state to another is not just flipping of a switch. It's an actual transformation. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to go through that transformation so you can live with more authenticity and freedom in your life. So about 10 years ago, there was a time in my life where I really cared what other people thought of me, to the point where it was like impacting my actions, but it was also impacting like the direction I was allowed to take myself in my own life. I remember how hard it was when I had to start creating content for, 10 years ago, I had a fitness coaching brand. And then also when I started my first life coaching company about 6 years ago, I remember holding my phone up to post stories or to post videos or to post selfies, to post content. And it was terrifying. I would make sure that there was no one within like a 10 block radius. I would like hide myself in a corner, make the video real quick, and then boom, post it and take a big deep breath. But if I were in public, or if I was in a public space, or if I was out in nature and there was other people around, I would be so self-conscious. I really cared what they thought if someone saw me creating content. And this obviously limited my ability to create content on the go, to create content where I wanted to. And it just kept me trapped. It kept me trapped from how I wanted to express myself in my life and build my brand. Fast forward to today, I am not perfect. I still am influenced by what people think. It still weighs on my mind. I'm not entirely free of it. And I don't think there's any human on this earth who is entirely detached completely from the thoughts of others. But compared to before, I've made huge changes. I can take my phone out and create content anywhere I want to. I can really speak more freely and more truthfully and more authentically without needing to like mold it or look perfect. And here's how I really started to change. One, and this may seem unrelated, but I really started to do some inner work on myself. I started to ask myself deep questions. Why are other people's opinions so important to me? Yes, I know in the big picture they don't matter, but deep inside of me, it mattered. There was a part of me that it did matter to. And the more that I just tried to like ignore that part of me, that part wouldn't heal, transform, or go away. I would just be repressing myself. So through inner work and working with different coaches and reading different books and spending time meditating and going inward and journaling, I found out that there is a insecure piece of me that does care what people think. And the more I denied that, the more it still haunted me. But the more I accepted it, I could make friends with that part of me. And once I made friends with that part of me, I was able to then show up more authentically and even make fun of myself. Like, hey, listen, I even started talking in my content about the part of me that was insecure. I just took ownership of it, right? The pressure comes from pretending that you aren't caring, right? When in reality, it gave me a great sense of freedom to just be like, wait a minute, this shit does matter to me at some level, and that's okay. Another thing that really, really helped was, the Nike slogan, just do it, right? I remember I heard a quote from somebody that really resonated with me. They said, if you're scared, do it scared. And so I was like, it can't be that simple. But I remember one day I was at the airport and I needed to post something to my page. And I was like, oh shit, I have to record this video. There's all these people around. And I was like, I put my hand on my heart and I was like, okay, little buddy. I was talking to my that insecure part of me. I was like, we're just going to do this. And if we're alive after, everything's okay. And boom, I got my phone out. I posted the video, or I recorded the video and then I posted it. And then I put my hand back on my body and I looked around and I was like, I am okay. I am okay. Everything's okay, right? And it kind of calmed the story in my mind. And what actually happens, it's called neuroplasticity. When you do something, even when you're afraid, and then you realize how safe you are after doing it, your mind loosens its grip on how much fear and resistance it has in relation to that thing. And so doing it on purpose, going into public spaces and just recording a quick video and then looking around and being like, wow, it truly wasn't a big deal. My ego was playing games with me. My mind was just getting overprotective. It actually calmed down my nervous system doing it and realizing how okay it was. And so getting out there and doing little bits of what you are afraid of doing little bits of becoming more authentic. You don't have to do it all overnight, but little bits. Eventually your brain starts to loosen your grip and allow you to be more of yourself more freely. So now I'm going to break it down to a process that you could follow right now so that you can, again, stop caring what people think so much and get busy living the life you were meant to live authentically. Step one is, like I mentioned earlier, get out a pen, get out a paper, and just explore what is the part of you that is either afraid or cares a lot about what people think. Write freely, right? Act like you're talking to another person. You're talking to a part of you, right? In developmental psychology, they call them parts or subpersonalities, right? We all have all these different parts within us, right? We're not just one thing all the time, right? We have different moods and different occasions, and we show up in different states. Psychology just refers to these as parts, right? So you can talk to the part of you that is actually afraid of what people think, right? Because again, the more you deny it or the more you hide from it, it's just gonna fester, right? There's a saying, what we keep in the dark festers in the dark. What we bring into the light can heal and transform. So when you start talking to this part of you, don't do it with judgment. Don't do it with condemnation. Do it with absolute love and respect. Like, hey, little buddy. That's how I talk to my inner child parts. I'm like, what do you, like, okay, you're here. There's a part of me that is afraid. You got to own it and face it. But like, really, what are you worried about? Right? And again, you're not judging what comes up. Just like you're listening to a conversation with a dear friend. You're like, really, what's the problem here? What are you really worried about? Okay, and a lot of us are worried about being judged or being rejected or being left alone or being denied or failing, right? These are real things in the human experience. But when you can acknowledge them and breathe and just let them be there, right? They're not that big of a deal. Most humans have them, but they act like a big deal when we keep them hidden in our psyche or our subconscious. So when you actually start to do some inner work and you start to dialogue with some of these parts, again, you're not trying to fix anything, but you are getting a chance to just acknowledge something so it can transform. Remember, things that we lock away stay stuck. Things that we acknowledge and take ownership of and show love and compassion to can actually grow and evolve with us. Another thing that is super important is meditation or just time in stillness. Actually, on my YouTube page, you can find many more guided meditations that will help you get into these deeper states where you can acknowledge yourself, love yourself, and transform yourself, right? But time in meditation where we're letting our ego rest. There's a part of your brain called the default mode network, and it's a bundle of neural pathways, kind of like a little mohawk in the center of our mind, that it contains all of our most commonly thoughts and worries, and it's kind of where our old self lives neurologically. And when we meditate, this part of the mind shuts down so the other parts of the mind can actually come online. Our mind is a supercomputer. It's an orchestra. It's got all these different beautiful parts and pieces. We don't just want to use this little worrying network, right? So when you meditate, studies show that it deactivates your default mode network and it opens up these other parts of your brain so your brain can synchronize and harmonize and you can actually think bigger, think better, and let some old things go. And the third thing is, like I said, do something small that is an act of authentic expression. Do something small where the old you would have been afraid to do it because what other people think. And again, like do a tiny version of that. Like I said, like for me, like I wasn't about to go get on stage and speak at events, right? For me, it was something small. Like, hey, I'm going to record a 30-second video in public. Right? Like do something small that's a little bit scary, but it's not the end of the world. And when you do it, make sure you take time after to feel your body, breathe, and go, I am totally okay. Right? And when you do that, even if it's awkward, even if there's fear, whatever it is, right? Life is not squeaky clean, right? Like we go through awkward shit. We go through scary shit. We go through hard shit. It's totally cool. It's totally fine. Right? But once you do that little thing, right? Don't make it overwhelming. But once you do that little thing, right? Do it and then take a few moments to be like, I'm okay. Let your nervous system really wash in it. Like, I am okay. And when you can do these three things, I guarantee you, little by little, you'll go through this transformation where you can really care less what other people think. And some of this stuff starts working instantly, right? Like the inner work, talking to that part of you, doing some meditations, and doing that little thing. These are things that over time will make a huge difference. But if you do them now, today, this week, they're going to make an instant difference. Listen, I understand that the self-healing, self-transformation journey is not easy. We don't receive a lot of training and education in our lives on how to really transform ourselves. And so if you want help on your transformational journey, if you're looking to live a more purposeful life, you want to be more free, more authentic, more connected, and more peacefully happy with your life, you can join one of my coaching programs. I specialize in helping men transform and heal the root causes of their self-imposed limitations so they can thrive, so they can live in service to others, so they can live their purpose authentically. authentically. So if you want to learn more about that, you can find a link to my coaching programs. There'll be one in the description and one in the first comment. Again, I want to encourage you to do some of the meditations here on my YouTube page as well. They are all designed to help you transform your mind, open your heart, and live your purpose. So I'll see you in the next video, and have a good day.